तव कथामृतं तप्तजीवनं कविभिरीडितं कल्मषापहं श्रवणमङ्गलं श्रीमदाततं भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः. Sri Ramakrishna Kathamrita, the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, Sri Magathita, recorded by M., a disciple and apostle of the Master. Original is in Bengali. I will read out the original and try to explain in English. Dakshineshware, Thakur Sri Ramakrishna, Tritiya Darshan. The third meeting of M with the Master at Dakshineshwar. ঈশ্বরের সৃষ্টিতে নানা রকম জীব জন্তু গাছপালা আছে। জানোয়ারের মধ্যে ভালো আছে মন্দ আছে, বাঘের মতন হিংস্র জন্তু আছে, গাছের মধ্যে অমৃতের ন্যায় ফল হয় এমন আছে, আবার বিষফলও আছে। তেমনি মানুষের মধ্যে ভালো আছে মন্দও আছে, সাধু আছে অসাধুও আছে, সংসারে জীব আছে আবার ভক্ত আছে। So he is talking about the variety in creation. You should recognize variety and not only recognize, not only tolerate, as some people say, not only rejoice or accept, but celebrate. Nature loves hundreds of thousands of varieties. Look at the kinds of varieties in any species. Suppose you take an ant, a most humble creature, an ant. So many hundreds of thousands of varieties are there in the ant. Take a frog, take fish, take any hundreds of thousands of varieties. Take any plant, tree. So he says, Ishwara Srishtite, in God's creation, Nana rakam jeev jantu gachpala ache. So many different varieties of living beings and so many varieties of plantation, plants, and so on. And Januarer moddhe bhalo mondo ache. Among the animals, there are violent, wild animals, ferocious animals like tiger, or cheetah. And also, there are animals which are calm, like the elephant, like the goat, one, like the cow. And গাছের মধ্যে অমৃতের ন্যায় ফল হয় এমন আছে, আবার বিষ ফলও আছে। Among the trees, there are some trees with such good taste. The mango, for example, mango season, ripe mangoes that you get, so delicious, so jackfruit, even banana. And there are some trees which give you poisonous. Similarly, মানুষের মধ্যে ভালো আছে মন্দ আছে, সাধু আছে অসাধু আছে। Among human beings, you have people who are virtuous, good, wicked, and people who are wicked, people who are cheap, people who appear to be human beings from outside, but they're like animals, so cruel, so terrible, so inhuman, so they can mercilessly kill people. They appear to be human beings, but they're animals. And they are extraordinarily good. Unselfish. Or sadhu ache, ashadhu ache. People who are extremely virtuous, or who are wicked and impure, and সংসারী জীব আছে, আবার ভক্ত আছে. There are people who are right down to the world. They are attached to the world, they are in bondage. And there are people who are bhakta, are devotees of God, who constantly contemplate God, think of God, divine things, try to elevate their consciousness. There are people who are completely immersed in the worldly activity, in what Ramakrishna calls kamini kanchana, lust, lust and gold, sensual pleasures. They can't think of anything higher. Such variety in this universe. And he says, he classifies beings into four varieties. Baddha Jeev Char Prakar. Jeev Char Prakar. Jeev, a living being, are of four types. Classification. As I have repeatedly said, three fundamental philosophical as well as scientific based on which human knowledge progress. Philosophy as well as in science. What are these three principles? One, the classification principle. Two, the generalization principle. And three, the unification principle. Here, Ramakrishna is classifying how many kinds of beings could be there. There could be several varieties of classifying. How do you classify human beings? On the basis of color, on the basis of nationality, basis of gender, on the basis of education. So many varieties you can classify. Ramakrishna is classifying through a completely different parameter criteria. Baddha Jeev, Mumukhu Jeev, Mukta Jeev, Nitya Jeev. Baddha Jeev, bound souls. Souls are bound to samsara, bound the world. Mumukshu Jeev, those who are longing for liberation. They know they are bound and they want to get out of this bondage. They are called sadhakas, spiritual aspirants like us. And mumukshu, deeply desirous of liberation. Mukta Jeev, those who are liberated already. And Nitya Jeev, those who are eternally liberated. They never enter into bondage. So these are the four varieties of jivas. He is defining the characteristic of each of them and explaining their nature. Nitya Jeev, Yaman Naradadi, Narada, Shukadeva, these are examples given. Narada was a devotee of God, constantly singing the glory of God. Tribhuvana Sanchari, he goes around, he has free passes for all the worlds. He doesn't need a visa anywhere. And his very presence is so ennobling, purifying, elevating. He goes about singing the glory of Narayana. And he was never bound. He is Nitya Mukta, Nitya Jeev. Shukadeva. Shukadeva is free from birth. There's a story in the Purana that Shuka, the Brahmarshi, was eternally liberated, Nitya Mukta, Ishvara Koti, Atavi. He refused to be born in the mother's womb and get into this world, samsara of bondage. Several months pass, Shuka is not taking birth. Shuka is not taking birth. But the Devatas wanted Shuka's birth to purify this world. Very present. So they said, refusing to be born. Then they played a trick, requested Mahamaya to quickly cover him with Maya just for a microsecond. He was covered by Maya and quickly Shukadeva, Narada. These are the people, examples of Nitya Jiva. Ramakrishna says, even Shuka could not fully comprehend the inexhaustibility of exhausted. How many times Ramakrishna has discussed Satchidananda of God, conscious, this Sat Chit Ananda. Imagine Satchidananda to be a huge, even Shuka did not enter or touch this ocean. He only saw it from it. And Mahadeva, Devadeva, the god of God, just was free, like an Achamanavi of water and fell flat like here is a huge ocean, unexplored, unknown. Can you determine the limits? He also gives the of example of an ant went going to a sugar hill, and how dramatic, how telling, how educated Ramakrishna. An ant went to a sugar hill. Sugar hill is the hill which is God, which is Brahman. And ant took a small part, ate it. Little stomach was already full. He took one more particle in his mouth, then turned back, come to his little hole. While coming, turned towards this and said, next time on, I will drag the whole hill and put it in my little. The audacity of the human mind that I can. Whatever, how much can. Then he adds, even Shuka, one of the greatest of Nityajiva, Nityamukta Bhava, eternally free. Even Shuka was only a big ant. Bengali, they call it Dev people. You know, there are some big ants, slightly black, powerful. So even Shuka was only a big ant. He could perhaps carry a few more particles, that's all. God is, and realize him also. Ini Ananta, Atho Ananta, ism, Ramakrishna, never limit God, limit the infinity of God. You may see it in a particular way and be satisfied. You take a little, one particle of sugar, you are satisfied. Satisfied. Do not think you have realized the whole of God. When Swami Shivananda, Mahapurush Maharaj, was the second president of the Ramakrishna order and one of the illustrious monastic disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, was asked by a devotee, Christ, God, Brahman, Mahapurush smiled and said, yes. If it is yes, how can be no? If it is no, how can be yes? Then he explains this through beautiful examples which are telling. Okay, he said, the Ganges, flow of the Ganges, river, yes. It is coming from the Himalayas and flows, the Sagara, meets the ocean. Has the Ganges met the ocean? Has the Ganges reached the ocean? Has the Ganges realized the ocean? It merging with the ocean, the Ganga Sagar. But it is flowing towards the ocean. Exactly the same way. You can't say that I have real God because He is infinite. You reach Him, but you continue to move towards Him. Because the inexhaustibility of God can never allow you to say that you have realized. Once you have realized Him, urge to know Him more and more in different ways, right? Till you merge in Him, become one, and even then you are not satisfied. Come back again, like in the case of avatars, and taste in innumerable ways. Ramakrishna called himself glutton in the spiritual world. Glutton is a person who wants to eat and eat, not because he is hungry. We eat food to appease hunger, or we eat food for the taste of it. Full, stomach is full. As Ramakrishna says, jalebi is given to you. Jalebi is a beautiful sweet meat in Bengal. It's available all over India. Roundish sweet meat. Ramakrishna used to make fun. Even if your stomach is full, if a jalebi is offered, some more space is found inside the stomach. And his own inimitable style of giving examples, analogies, he says, it is like a governor's wheel of a governor's carriage. Because the jalebi is round like a wheel. So in those days, governors, and when the carriage of a governor passes, maybe very crowded street, but still everybody gives way. Governor is coming. Everybody gives way, and the governor's carriage smoothly passes. Sri Ramakrishna uses example in the Kathamrita. The jalebi is like the wheel of a governor's carriage. The stomach may be full, but still, if a jalebi is put in the stomach, the mouth, because for the taste of it you want it, then it smoothly passes. So that's a glutton. Glutton eats food not to appease hunger, but to satisfy his palate. He wants to taste different kinds of food. In places like Calcutta, which are all kinds of cultures came and mixed in Calcutta. We have Chinese hotels, we have hotels, and all kinds of food. Of course, Christian food, cakes and Hindu food. Even in Hindus, so people are fond of going to different places and tasting different kinds of food they have. I had. So Ramakrishna, like a glutton, called himself a glutton, spiritual. He wants to taste God in innumerable ways. He tells his nephew, Hridayaram, Hridu, you take me to a church. I want to and taste God in the Christian way. How they call upon God. Will they allow me to? I can see the gate. Ah, I want to know how the Muslims pray to God. I want to know how Hindus of various sects, Shaktas, devoted to Kali and Shakti, Vaishnavas, devoted to. And he used to go to the Brahmo Samaj. Says, I bow down to all the rishis of old, all the great jnanis, all the bhaktas of the old and present day, and Idaning Brahmagyani. Brahmagyanis of the present day, meaning the Brahma Samaj people, used to go to the Upasana. How the Brahmos call upon God. He used to go and rejoicing everywhere. God is being invoked in innumerable ways by hundreds of thousands, and wants to know, he wants to ever so many ways, infinite paths leading to in exactly the same way. A sugar hill cannot be exhausted. An ant can take one and take one more speck. Even Shukadeva can perhaps take a couple of more articles. Nitya Jiva, Shukadeva, Naradadi, এরা সংসারে থাকে জীবের মঙ্গলের জন্য, জীব দিগকে শিক্ষা দেওয়ার জন্য. These people live in samsara. They are not attached to samsara in any way, totally, completely free from birth, ever free, and they live in the world for the good of the world, elevate the world, purify the world. Their very presence is purifying, and they exude joy. They ooze bliss. They carry God in their heart. Every day is a celebration. There is not a particular day, utsava or celebration. Every moment, every day is a day of celebration. Called Nityotsava. Talk of utsavas, celebrations, festival. Every day is a festival for them. Why? Because embodiment of all joy, auspiciousness resides in their hearts. Famous verse, shloka in the Bhagavatam. Nityotsavam bhavet tesham Shri Nityamangalam Yesham Hridistho Bhagavan Nityam Ravi Harihi. Hari, Supreme Being, resides parts of these. So Nityotsavam Bhavet. Every day is a day of festival. Every moment they rejoice. Christ said in the Bible, rejoice and be exceeding glad. Nityotsavam Bhavet. Nitya Shri. Every moment is a moment of auspiciousness, health, prosperity, auspicious. Mangalam, so much of joy, so much of prosperity, of prosperity, physical, mental, full elevation. Yesham Hridistho Bhagavan Hari. God is present in your heart. Every moment, it's Ramakrishna. His face, so beaming with joy all the time. So curious to know how these people call it. Everything it connects to God. And he wanted to go and watch dramatic drama performance, theater, our theater. Still it is there. Desert theater. It was visited by Girish Chandra Ghosh was in charge. Right, so he took, I went there. Of the theater. Because those days little girls used to play various parts. Chaitanya Leela. And the general impression is that they are not of good character on. So they tried to dissuade Sri Ramakrishna from going. What a strange thing to attempt. So fiercely independent. Because he was directly driven by God's power, will. They came and told him hesitantly, and there, perhaps Ramakrishna immediately understood why they say this. What he said. Besto, Ami Oder, Anandamayi Deg. 4 words in a sentence. Ami Oder Anandam. Besto, well. Good. I will see these girls blissful in mother. You may see them differently, and then you may like them, willing to avoid. I will in mother. Is God's ways which is to all the you see the signature of God everywhere. There will be sun and stars and macrocosms, celestial objects, microcosm and subatomic particles, waves are the particles. Human being and everywhere, sense God as it were is peeping from there. God has signed it. Said, my signature is there. Me as all pervading, called the immanence of God, Sarva Vyapitva. He is Sarva Vyapi. At the same time, he is transcendental, he is Sarvati. He pervades everything and also he transcendence and immanence of the Supreme Reality is a speciality of the Hindu religion, really Vedanta. God is not exhausted by his creation. There is a philosophy called pantheism, which says God is present everywhere. He has become all these objects, inanimate and animate, living and non living. And that's it. That means, as it were, the consciousness is exhausted by becoming all this. You have some wood and you prepare a table and a chair. Where is the wood? Wood is transformed into table and chair. That's it. You have some piece of cloth, you prepare some shirts and pants, and the cloth is exhausted by it. Is God like this? No. He becomes all this, but still he transcends all. Focus. Remember, you are talking about consciousness, Supreme Chaitanya, and do not bring your material logic into it. It's a material objects, wood and cloth and so on. You take away one portion, it becomes less. In the case of the Supreme Reality, more and more you take away, it still remains the same. Infinite, the absolute, the Purna. From there comes out, as it were, this world, which is also Purna, because it's based on Purna. When Purna comes out of Purna, what remains is also Purna. The strange mathematics of the infinity in consciousness. The Shukla Yajurveda, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnad Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Is infinite, supreme, transcendental. This is also infinite. Immanent consciousness has become all this entire universe. And when Purna, infinite, emerges from the infinite, what remains is. Because infinite, by definition, is inexhaustible, absoluteness of the infinite. Amivadir Anandamayi Dekbo, I will see the divine face. Lesson which we take from here, simple, change your vision. You think the world is bad, then it is bad. If you think the world is good, then it is good. So never pollute your own vision. Even in the so-called wicked person, the supreme consciousness is peeping in, unfortunately covered by a thick veil of ignorance called tamas. Drishtim jnanamayim kritva pashyed brahmamayam jagat. Drishtim jnanamayim kritva. By making your vision jnanamayi, fine, pure, saturated with God consciousness, divine knowledge, see the entire world covered with the same Brahma. Shankara's Prakarana Granth. Your drishti jnanamayi, knowledge vision, then Jagat is Brahmamaya, entire world, universe. Isha vasyamidam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat. Cover this entire universe with God. Consciousness. Envelop all this with God. See His divine presence. Where? Swami Vivekananda said in the inspired talks, don't seek God, see Him. Seeking means you are rejecting what you and seek something behind or through. Seeing means you see the same God present everywhere in the same way. Tamam pashyan hi sarvatra Samavasthitam Ishwaram. Bhagavad Gita 13th. Tamam Sarveshu Bhuteshu Santam Parameshwaram. Same Parameshwara present in all the beings in the same way. He is in the plant, and he is the wicked, he alone is. So he says here, নারদাদি সংসারে থাকে জীবের মঙ্গলের জন্য, শিক্ষা দেওয়ার জন্য. They remain in this world so that they can teach them full of joy, purity, dazzling purity. They're a great patient. Not that we can become like them. We can become like ourselves. Swami Vivekananda once said, "Singly, I tried to seek an ideal everywhere until I realized I am my own ideal." Don't imitate anybody. Nobody in this universe can be like somebody else. No plant, no animal, no creature, even a particle of sand can't be like. This is the principle or uniqueness principle, which is a philosophical and scientific principle also. Progress of science and physics. By leaps and bounds, it happened by this one principle. It was discovered by Pauli, Wolfgang Pauli, one of the outstanding young physicists. He came out with a principle called Pauli's exclusion principle, which is very famous in atomic physics, which says that no two particles, the composition of an atom, can have completely identical quantum number. Quantum number signature by which you recognize this particle. No two particles can be identical with regard to all the quantum numbers. To put it negatively, if several particles are considered for the composition of an atom, if two of them are completely identical with regard to all the quantum numbers, one of them will be excluded from the composition. This came from a philosophical principle called the uniqueness principle. Nature has made every substance, every particle, every animal, every insect, every human being. This gives tremendous strength. I am a unique being in this universe created with this. There is nobody like me. And therefore, I am great because there can't be anybody like me. Look at these 10 fingers. This is a very simple example. You know, the fingerprints. It's so amazing how God, wherever He is, whatever He is, or no, has made each of the fingerprints of each of the human beings completely unique. That's why you ask for fingerprints, all the 10 fingers. Aadhaar card. Why? Then biometric. You are unique. So many human beings populate, maybe about 750 crore beings. Suppose there are 700 crore, and 7,000 crore fingerprints. How did God get so much of design? How could nature design so much? many kinds of species, so many ants, so many fish, so many animals. Each ant is different from the other ant. They may look similar, but they are not identical. Hundreds of thousands of billions of species, each one of them created completely different. They can't be some similarity, not identical. If one of us, don't be depressed, don't be unhappy. I am a unique creature of God. God has put me into this world to achieve. I cannot live in vain. I have something to achieve. And for me, leave this, for this. Bring out that uniqueness. That uniqueness gives you. So the uniqueness, you, which is in every is unity. Jeev ke shikha davarjan. They want to teach the world. They are great, powerful sources of inspiration only, not imitation. Don't try to become like them, just you can't. Not because Vivekananda, Ramakrishna are so great, you are so silly, it's small, you can't be like them. No, that is not the argument. The argument is just it is not possible for anybody to be like anybody else. Remember this. Assert your uniqueness. And receiving inspiration from these great men on how to manifest this uniqueness, which is divinity inherent in you, you proceed in the process of manifesting. Swami Vivek, the famous. Each soul is potentially divine. Goal is to manifest this divinity within, ruling nature, external nature, the body, and because you can't outside. Inner nature, which is the mind and the thoughts, manifest the divinity. In the process of manifestation of this divinity from the incarnation, divine manifest, Nitya Jiva, Nitya Mukta, eternally free, who are born of the essence of God. They give you inspiration, but you have to adapt that inspiration to suit your own way of progress. You can't copy it, adapt it. The process of adapting it to your own nature moving forward is called spiritual practice of sadhana. Jiver Shikhadavarjan. They give you they give you the inspiration, they give you the example. They prove to the world it is possible to realize God in this life. God is, He can be seen, He can be realized. The four sutras gave Sri Ramakrishna gave to the world. Chatusutri, as the case of the Brahma Sutra, the four sutras are very important. What are the four sutras? One, God is. Two, can be seen and real. Three, realizing God in this very life is the goal and aim of human life. Four, if in this life, having attained this great human body, human birth, If God is not real, life is waste, we vain. So take inspiration from these. They give you the teaching. They prove to the world it is possible to see God, is possible to see Him. And they assert, as Sri Ramakrishna told Narendra, Sri Vivekananda, I have seen God just like I am seeing, but only much more wants to see. People shed jugfuls of tears for their wife and children, money, and who loves God? Who? It is possible I have seen. Vedahametam Purusham Mahantam Adityavarnam Tamasah Parasta Tameva Viditva Atimrityumeti Anyah Pantha Vidyate Ayanaya. Shvetashvataropana. We have seen the Supreme Being is beyond darkness, a shining being, resplendent sun, luminous conscious. I have known him, I have seen him, I have realized him. The assertion of the Rishi of yoga. And by knowing him alone, you can cross over beyond cycle of. There is just no other way to go beyond darkness. Access you. Swastiva paraya masav parasta. You are on a journey beyond darkness, my children. You invoke divine grace upon us of Parastar, beyond darkness, journey beyond darkness. Yes, may you be blessed. You get the courage and the power to beyond darkness. Of Para. What courage, what strength, what hope this passage is. So Jiver Shikha Arjun. And Ramakrishna told in Naren Shikha Debe. Ore Baire Hak. Vote. He used to say the power of attorney and giving him charge, charging him, empowering him in writing. Nowadays we say, can you give it in writing? Put up a notice. Here is Ramakrishna writing in his own hands, Noren Shikha Debe, Ore Baire Hak Debe. Naren will teach people and inside the country and outside, he will call people, awaken their divinity, their march to Narada, Indra, Carnation, Ramakrishna. They have come to awaken the tremendous inspiration, their march to awaken their জীবের শিক্ষা দেওয়ার জন্য ওদের আশা নিজের কোনো মুক্তির কোনো প্রয়োজন নেই কারণ তারা নিত্য মুক্ত they don't need to be emancipated, they don't seek their own liberation because they are already nitya jeev, nitya mukta. Then second category of jivas, baddha jeev, bound souls, baddha, those who are in bondage. Who are they? বিষয়ে আসক্ত হয়ে থাকে আর ভগবানকে ভুলে থাকে ভুলেও ভগবান আর চিন্তা করে না They are completely immersed in worldliness, immersed in pleasures, immersed in outer tendencies, or lust and greed, wife, children. They are complete worldliness. And even by mistake, bhuleo is this, even by mistake, they don't think of God. Baddha jeev, or bound to mumukhu jeev, those who are struggling for liberation, those who desire salvation. They know they are bound, struggling to get liberated. যারা মুক্ত হওয়ার ইচ্ছা করে, কিন্তু তাদের মধ্যে কেউ মুক্ত হতে পারে, কেউ হতে পারে না, কেউ বা পারে না। They are struggling. They are working hard. They are doing sadhana. Day and night they call on God, pray to God, either in the bhakti sadhana or in vichara. Several ways they try so that they can get out of the bondage of samsara, worldliness. And among them, some of them get liberated, some of them don't. মুক্ত জীব যারা সংসারে কামনে কাঞ্চনে আবদ্ধ নয়, যেমন সাধু মহাত্মারা. There are some people who get liberated, mukta, not the nitya mukta, eternally liberated, eternally free, but these are people who get liberated through struggle and sadhana, like sadhu mahatmara, holy men, saints. They are not attached to kamini kanchan, lust and যাদের মনে বিষয় বুদ্ধি নাই, আর যারা সর্বদা হরিপাদ পদ্ম চিন্তা করে, from whose mind all worldly thoughts have vanished, and constantly they contemplate holy feet. And immediately gives a picturesque example. This is Ramakrishna's beauty. This is a philosophical doctrine which is enunciated. He is painting a pen picture so that you can visualize the whole thing and come to understand in a very simple. This is Ramakrishna's grace. He gives an example. যেমন জাল ফেলা হয়েছে পুকুরে. The language. Pukure, in a tank, in a pond, to catch fish, a net is being cast. It's a very common thing which you see in Bengal, particularly everywhere. Bengalis are water-loving people. Every place will have a water body, a small pond, and they are fish eaters, as you know, because the Bengal climate, fish is very suitable. So you can catch fish either with hook, using a bait, or if you want to catch more fish, then you throw a net, all. In Ramprasad's full song, Jagat jude jal phelechi Shama. O Divine Mother, O Kali, you have cast a net which covers the whole universe. And in this, all of us are caught. Jal phela hoyeche pukure. Jamon, like this example, a net has been cast to catch fish. দু চারটি মাছ এমন শিয়ানা যে কখনো জালে পড়ে না, এরা নিত্য জীবের উপমা স্থল. Some fish, শিয়ানা, a very expressive word in Bengali, very clever. Clever can be in a good sense or slightly derogatory, but usually is used khub shiana. That means sharp, clever, witty, extremely intelligent. So these fish are so intelligent, so clever, so careful that they know the moment they are caught, they'll be finished. So they very carefully avoid getting caught. These are examples of Nitya Jiva, Nitya Mukta Jiva. কিন্তু অনেক মাছি জালে পড়ে, but a majority of fish come and get caught in this fish. এদের মধ্যে কতগুলো পালাবার চেষ্টা করে, এরা মুমুক্ষু জীবের উপমা স্থল। Among these, some of them realize immediately we are caught. So they still hard somehow they should escape this net. These are the examples of mumukshu jiva struggling for liberation, desiring deeply liberation, and constantly making an effort to get liberated. Fish who are struggling to get free from the net belong to this category. কিন্তু সব মাছি পালাতে পারে না, but all of them cannot escape. দু চারটি ধাবাং ধাবাং করে জাল থেকে বেরিয়ে যায়. Look at the way he tells story. Even storytelling technique we have to learn from Ramakrishna. Like children are so fond of stories, and you should give them expressions. Dhabang, dhabang, making a sound. Some of them escape the net, and when they escape, they quickly jump to the waters and make a splash. Dhabang, dhabang. They escape and go. তখন জেলেরা বলে ওই একটা মাছ পালিয়ে গেল. Then people who throw the net, called jele, jele means the fisherman, and they say rejoicingly, here is a fish is escaped. The Divine Mother, Mahamaya, is casting the net. To escape, she is very happy. It's not easy. And then another imagery is given by Ramprasad. Shamama Vudacho Ghuri. Shama, you're flying kites. Your children fly kites. And among the kites, some of them get cut, the string is cut, and they're released. And they float in the sky, atmosphere free. They are the liberated soul. Among lakhs of kites which the mother is flying, perhaps one or two escape, and mother is so happy. Dama Hat Chapuri. She claps her hands and says, you have escaped. Good. So dhabang dhabang kore chole jay, crashing, making the sound dhabang dhabang. They escape from the net. When jailerরা বলে ওই একটা মাছ পালিয়ে গেল. Hey, here goes one fish which has escaped. কিন্তু যারা জালে পড়েছে অধিকাংশই পালাতেও পারে না. Large section of them, a large percentage of fish who are caught, they can't escape so easily. আর পালাবার চেষ্টাও করে না. This is very interesting. Those who struggle to escape are mumukshu. Those who escape are mukta. Those who are never caught are nitya mukta. But these fellows who get caught, they don't even struggle to escape. They do not even know, because of ajnana, ignorance, that they are caught and they are going to be cut and fried and eaten. বরং জাল মুখে করে পুকুরের পাঁকের ভিতর গিয়ে চুপ করে মুখ গুঁজড়ে শুয়ে থাকে, মনে করে আর কোনো ভয় নাই, আমরা বেশ আছি. What expression, what language? Just possible Bengali. They that they are safe here and some mud is accumulated, they put their faces inside the mud, cover themselves with mud, and quietly sleep off, thinking that we are and think Amara Beshachi. We are so well. Sari Jeev, for samsara world. They are very safe, they are very good. Oh, but I am well. We are not well. First, remember, we are caught in a trap. Sooner we escape, the better. Difficulties. Swami Vivekananda said this. কিন্তু জানে না যে জেলে হড়হড় করে টেনে আড়ায় তুলবে। In the expression and the language, হড়হড় করে. That means the jailer, they do not know the fisherman will quickly pull the net. Hard, making the sound. He will pull the net and then take out all this fish, throw them on the ground. এরাই বদ্ধ জীবের উপমাস্থ. They are the baddha jiva. Yet they are safe. They do not know they are caught and they will be soon taken out, placed on the ground, and will be taken, sold in the market. People will buy these, wash them well, cut them to fry them, fish fry. All of us are caught. Have to be packed. Here we are caught. Do not imagine all is well with us. We want to escape loneliness, unhappiness which has come upon us like a dark cloud for about a year and a half more. We want to escape it, retain. Ups also become rising. The vision. Constantly doing chat, video, audio over telephone and abroad. Somehow passing. Niranjanananda ji was told, নিরঞ্জন দিন যায় রে কখন ভগবান লাভ করে is our past safe. We are not, we are taken to the samsara worldly, then cut to when we are being fried in the world. Alo Jagad Bhakta is a great devourer following us all the time. Him to Shiva Aparada says, Ayu is loaded. Every day I am aging. Though our hearts out and brave, still like muffled drums are beating funeral marches. So wrote in the poem, Palm of longer out we every beat of the heart is like the drum which beats you towards the funeral. You are moving towards death at every beating heart. You is getting eroded. Just you're seeing. All we thought it is going to last for a couple of months. March, so much of hope. Everybody invited. 28 thinkers wrote Vision 2020, and the world is taken complete devastated. But just it went on. We are ending August 2021. Still, second wave, third wave. What's going to happen? Life is so uncertain, so fragile. We are in the dark about the future. Every day we are moving towards death. Our youth sitting, hairs are black, boy, of falling. All the day, Yavana, youth. And the day which has gone will not come back again. We are in the 29th August 21. We move into the 30th. Kala, time. Whole world is facing a huge economic crisis, including, of course, India. Their wealth, their prosperity, and so much. So many economic awakening, economic renaissance. Tiniest of the tiny little coronavirus, COVID-19, comes and gives a tight slap on your cheeks and asks man to behave. All your wealth's gone. There are dramatic, like waves, waves, and a big wave rises, running on the way. And light goes like suddenly you see a lightning. Second, therefore, O Lord, you are the granter of refuge. Aranada, please give me refuge. Adhuna, now, here. I can't wait a moment longer. Grant refuge, please release me from extraordinary. Ayurinashati pasyatam, pratidinam yati kshayam yauvanam, pratyayanti gata punarna divasa, alo jagad bhakshakaha. Lakshmi stoyataranga bhanga chapala vidyutchalam jeevitam tasman mam sharanagatam sharanada tvam raksha rakshadhu. May the Supreme Being give us refuge, knowledge of some earnest prayer of the Krishna. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishnaarpanamastu Niranjanam Nityamanantarupam Bhaktanukampa Kritavigraham Vai Ishavataram Parameshamidhyam Ramakrishna Shirasa Namama.